Okay, I am back, and we have zombies. Zombie gnomes, no less. So if you want to see how to make some of these zombies to add into your game, then keep watching. Okay, so I've just gone ahead and added these zombies into the game. They're just walking around doing their thing. They're actually zombie gnomes, if you can see them clearly. So let's go ahead and see how we can make some of your own. So I'm going to stop the play there, and I'm going to actually create a new place because we've got quite a lot of stuff going on here. And when you want to create new features, it can actually be quite a good idea to go back and start up a new project, and then it gets rid of all the clutter and allows you to test in a new environment. So brand new base plate here, and let's go about creating that zombie. Now, if you want it to be a zombie of your character, like these ones here, it looks a bit like me, then all we need to do is click play first of all, and we can load ourselves in. And once we're running the game, we can go into workspace, we can find our character, we can click copy, stop the game, and then we can paste ourselves back in, and there we go, we've got a model of ourselves. Now you might notice that we don't seem to be able to sometimes move ourselves. Oh, we can maybe, but they've changed that, but sometimes they are locked, so you might want to unlock the model. That's Alt and the L key, and then you can unlock it, and I'm sure you'll be able to move it around easily. You might notice the same is for the base plate. You can't click and move it, but if you press Alt L, you can unlock it, and then you can move it, but that's the point for another day, isn't it? Anyway, back to this. So we have our character. Now, the first thing we're going to do is going to delete this, all the scripts that it currently has, the animate, the health scripts. I've got this little shoulder thing on me, but I'm going to get rid of that as well. Humanoid, no, okay, they're all the scripts that it started with. And let's make it into a bit of a zombie. So we'll change some of these colors here. Instead of that color, we'll make a sort of a dark green maybe. And that will do. So make these green, and then for the body, we'll kind of create a dirt brown color. I think that will give us sort of something what we're looking for. And then for the hat, that hat doesn't look very zombie-like, does it? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give a new texture to the mesh. So if I go to images on the toolbox, and I'm just going to search for something, I'm just going to type in dark, see what comes up. Dark texture. So if you search for textures, then you can get something. Obviously it's not ideal, but just for something quick for now, this will do. And the first one that comes up, darkness check texture. I'm going to right click, copy asset ID, and then down here, if I look on texture ID, if I paste that in, press enter, and there we've got this kind of dark thing. I wonder, maybe like a stone thing could look quite cool actually. Copy asset ID, paste that in. Ooh, I quite like that. Kind of a stone effect. You can play about with these. I mean, it doesn't really matter. So that can be our zombie for now. Now all we need to do is actually give this damage, because if I go in and play at the moment, and I walk up to this zombie, well, it's not really going to do anything. He's not very scary, is he? We can push him away and does nothing. And he's still got my name at the top, which is annoying, so we can change that. We can call him Zombie, or more accurately, Zombie Gnome. And let's allow him to give some damage. So we'll create a new script, and we'll name it damage script, so we know what it is. And then in here, we'll create a function. Now, when we've done our traps in the previous videos, we just had a single part, and then inside of that, we had the script. So it was something like script dot parent dot head, for example. So that is the script dot the parent, and then it goes down and finds the head dot, and then we use the touched event. You can see it has that lightning bolt, so we know it's a touched event. And then we'll do colon connect, and then we'd have like a function called damage, and that takes this touch parameter, and then it would do something there. So we'll make sure we are connecting the name of the function, so damage, to this event here. And then inside the function, we could check it's a humanoid first. So we'd say if touched, which is a parameter that's automatically sent along with the event. So if touched, and it's checking what is touched. Of course, we've called it touched here. We could call it thing, and it would do exactly the same. But it's easy to call it touched. Touched dot parent. Find first child humanoid. Then print it's a humanoid, or it's a player would be more accurate. So we'll go ahead and we'll test this. So this will only work if we touch the head. So this might be quite difficult to do actually. Oh no, it's not. It's a nice big hitbox. So if we zoom in on the output here, you can see it's a player, has run 73 times. So if we jump on it again, jump next to it, you can see the numbers going up. It's quite small text there, but you can read it. Times 85. As we're jumping again, it goes, it's a player. So that's how we hit the player. We've done that in the previous video anyway. And obviously from there, we could say touch.parent.humanoid .health, which is a property of the humanoid. So it's checking for this inside our player. And then it will go down and it will find health, which is at the bottom. And we could just make it equal 0 straight away, but I think that'd be a bit harsh to kill you instantly. So I'm actually just going to try and reduce it by 2 for every time it's hit. So how do we do that? Can we just say equals -2? That's not going to work. What we need to say is the value of this should be equal to the value of itself and then -2. So the value of itself -2 will be 98. And then 96, and so on. So let's go ahead and we can test that again. Check that bit's working. And now if we go up to it and we jump near it, we can see our health is dropping quite dramatically, but in small increments, because we get multiple hits for every time we touch it. So if we're jumping against it, we're hitting it actually quite a few times. But there we go, see, it's killed us, perfect. But just having it for the head isn't really ideal. You know, if I'm walking along the side, I'm not actually going to take much damage at all. So we don't just want it to be for the head. We really want it to be for all of these parts. Now, what we could do is we could have one inside each of these. We could copy it like this inside all of them. But that's a bit messy. If we wanted to edit one of them, then we'd have to go and edit all of them, and we'd have all these different damage scripts. That would be a bit of a mess. So let's go back. We've got this here, and we can actually loop through all of these parts and do it dynamically within the script. So I'll create a loop, and I'm going to say for, and a for loop of key and the value. In pairs, and it loops through a table, and in this case the table is going to be script.parent, and we call a function. So the parent, of course, is the zombie gnome model. Call a function, and we're going to use the getChildren function. And you might see the auto suggestion here. It comes up and it says to the right, table get children. And that's because get children returns a table or a list of all of these children that are contained within inside Zombie Gnome. So type do, new line, and then you can see it end, so it completes that for loop. And we can just check this works. We're going to print out the value. And if we don't even need to play the game, we can just run it. And in the output, we can see all of these items that are inside the zombie. And what we really want to do is we want to check if they touch any of these actual parts, then we want them to take damage. Now, we don't want it to be for all of the children because some of them are body parts, the hat or the humanoid itself. You can't actually touch these. You can only touch the physical parts. So what we're going to need to say, we're going to need to say if value, and then we call a function on the value, colon is a part, then print value. So we're just going to print the name of it. Now I'm using value. You could use anything for this. You could call it object. Object is quite nice. It makes a bit more sense, I think. So we'll run that, test that, and we can see we've only got humanoid, root part, and head come up. Now I think why this is because on the newer R15 models, these parts are actually mesh parts. They have the mesh part class rather than actually just parts themselves. So we need to say an or clause, or object is a mesh part. Okay, so then run that, and hopefully we should see all the parts, but we've only got the parts and nothing else. Perfect. So now we know for each part, instead of just printing out the name, what we can actually do is link a function to each of these parts. So here I was linking the damage function, and we're linking it to the head part. But instead of explicitly typing script.parent.head, what we can actually do inside our for loop is we could say object dot touched, and then we could connect that damage script. So hopefully, if we go back now and we play the game, oh, we've got errors. What have we done wrong here then? Attempt to call a nil value. I believe this is because our function is written below maybe. So we'll add it above like this. And also while we're at it, we'll make it local. And we'll try that again. There we go. Okay, so now if we touch just the arm, we can take damage. And if we go this side and just touch this arm, we're taking more damage. And if we run straight into them, we're going to take a lot of damage. So we can see we're taking damage on all of the parts now. And it's all from inside our for loop. Okay, that's cool. So that's our damage sorted. But what if we want this little guy to actually move? He's not much of a threat just standing still at the moment. So if we want him to move to a part, we're going to need to write a new script. So we'll call this script movement script. And you might be thinking we could change the position. We could say script.parent.humanoid root part dot position equals, and then we could give it a vector 3 value, I don't know, 1 1 1 or something like that. And we could run that, and table value. Oh, vector3.new. I'm spending too long giving a bad example, but anyway, we could do that, and you can see he's actually moved up 1 stud. But clearly that's not what we want. We don't get any animation there. Well, if we make it to 10, it'll be a bit clearer, but we could do that. But you see, actually, all it does is it just moves that single part over here, and it doesn't move the whole model. So what we can call a function on the humanoid itself. Now, if you go on the Roblox wiki here, Humanoid Move to, and all we need to do for that is we give it a position. So inside, back in our movement script, let's say script dot parent dot humanoid, and we call a function this time move to, and you'll see the suggestion gives us tells us we need a vector3 location and an instance part, but that's actually optional, as we know from the wiki. The default is nil. You don't actually need to supply this part. So what we do need to supply a vector3 location. So back to the script, and for now, let's type in a new position, vector3 10 0 0. We'll go ahead and run that. And I've done the same thing again, haven't I? I've not put .new. Need to stop doing that. Run, and you can see the little guy, he moves. We actually see him move. We can make it bigger distance, and it's a bit clearer. And there he goes, and he moves. Super. Now, if we want to have him keep moving, you might be tempted to do something like a while loop. You could have while true even, and have like a wait one, and then one where he goes back, and then another wait. And you could do something like this, very basic, and we could play it, and he would go back and forth, and that seems to not work too badly. But let's change that distance, so we make it 50 studs, and we play. You'll see what's actually happening is he's not going 50 studs there. So what we really need is to check that he's moving the full studs before we go to the next line, rather than just waiting in 1 second. We don't want to have to manually work out how long it is. Thankfully, there's a function for this as well. If we go back to the wiki on the move to information down here, there's a moved to finished function. So what we can do here is we can add a new line, and we can say, actually, let's create a variable for the humanoid. So we can say local humanoid equals script.parent.humanoid. Then it's a bit easier to refer to, isn't it? And instead of the wait, we're going to say humanoid dot move to finished, and instead of connecting a function, all we're going to do is just tell it to wait until it's finished. And if we go ahead and we play that now, we should hopefully see he moves the full 50 studs this time, and then he goes back full 50 studs rather than waiting a set amount of time. And if we change this to 5 again, he's only going to move 5 studs and back and forth. That works quite nicely. Now, it's not the easiest setting direct locational values like this in vector3. If we move the player over here and try to play it again, the zombie is going to try and get to that location first, and then he's only going to move there. So if we want it to move in any location, the best way to do this would be add to parts. We could use a part like this, and then we can use the position of this part. So I'm going to place one over here, and I'm going to duplicate that and place another one back over here. Now we could call these start and finish, but for simplicity, I'll call these position 1, P1, and P2. And we can group this whole thing inside a model to make it easier. And going back into our movement script now, instead of typing a direct value like this, we can simply say script.parent.p1.position. And then here we can say p2.position. So it's a script.theparent.thatparent, and then p1 and p2 are there. So hopefully we test that now. Actually, one other thing we need to do is let's anchor these parts, and we'll disable can collide. So that'll allow the zombie to walk into the parts entirely. So we'll play now, and he'll walk into the part and then back, into the part and then back. And we can move this wherever we like. We can move one over there. We could duplicate it, have another one over here. We could rotate it. We could have another one like this. And we could even move the part all the way over there. And if we play that, we can see all of them will move. Perfect. Now, there's one other thing we need to do, really, and that is to animate them, because this doesn't really look too exciting, does it? Now, because I'm a little bit lazy, I'm not going to create my own animation. You're more than welcome to, but that's kind of outside the scope of this one. Now, I've actually got an animation I've already taken. It's from Roblox's default zombie animation pack. You can actually buy this from the catalog, but I've taken the walk animation from that. We'll delete some of these. We don't need all of these anymore, do we? And I'll paste in that animation inside the movement script for now. So this ID, I'll put that down in the description if you need to, so you can copy it for your own. And what we need to do is we need to use that animation. So we actually call this animation, instead of interacting with it directly, we call it through the humanoid. So we're going to say humanoid, and then we call a function, is it load animation? Yeah, load animation. And then we supply it with the function, so it'll be the animation size, so script.walkAnim. And in order to access that, we need to add that to a variable. So we say animation equals, and then we load the animation and access it into this animation object here, if you will. And so what we can then do, this is very simplistic, as the zombie is always going to be walking. So we can actually just add here animation play, and we can run that. And yes, we've now got our zombie walking animation. Now, if this was a bit more complex, we could maybe add in a play, and then we could tell it to stop and so on. But as he's always walking, this meets our needs perfectly for him to always be playing the walk animation. So if we run that, we can now see he walks perfectly between the 2 points. Let's just go ahead and test him one more time with our character now. And where is he? Oh, all the way over here. And hopefully when I touch, I should take some damage. There we go, some damage again. I can jump over him. And if he walks straight into me, he's going to kill me. Perfect. So now we've got this little model made. We can copy that. And we can go back to our original setup here. We'll delete these ones I made earlier. And we'll paste in that one from our other place. And we'll move him down here onto the map. Now he's a little bit bigger than the... Oh, it's a little bit smaller space here, so we can just move these a bit. We'll move that one there, and this one here. And let's make these invisible. And then we can move this one. Let's name the model as well. Walking zombie. And we'll duplicate one over here as well. Test that again, run. And they're both walking. We can stack them a little bit so we can move the zombie a bit more that way. So then it'll look a bit more natural as they're walking. Super. And all we need to do now is test it. So instead of completing the entire game again, what we can do is we can just temporarily drag this spawn all the way over here. And test. Play with our character. Spawn into the second level. We can collect the coins as before. And now we're going to jump over these zombies. And if we touch them, they're going to kill us off. Right then, that about brings us to the end. I hope this has not been too long. But there's a lot to get through, a lot to explain. But hopefully now you have 2 zombie versions of yourself that you can add to the game. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned.